Hello, I'm glad to be with you today. My name is Joyce Gilly Gossam, and I serve as the princess at Best Girl Inc., a consulting company that provides leadership development, strategic planning, marketing and communications, organizational assessment for higher education, K through 12, nonprofits, and other organizations. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Tricia Sansom for inviting me to speak to you today. During my decades of leading, owning businesses, and hiring people, I've learned some valuable lessons about being a professional in the workplace. Lessons that I'd like to share with you. When in doubt, don't. Listen to that small, still voice that's inside you. 99 times out of 100, when I do not listen to that voice, I regret it. There is something inside each of us that lets us know when something is right for us and when it just quite doesn't fit, or it's not quite the best decision to make. When you have doubt, listen to that voice and don't. Another lesson I'd like to share with you is one that I learned from my Nana. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Because nothing has changed. I'm always amazed at the number of people who do the exact same thing over and over again, expecting to get a different result, and then being angry or surprised or disappointed when they don't. Why should we expect something to change if we're continually doing the same thing? Know yourself, deep down and honestly. Even if you never share that knowledge with another soul, you need to know who you are. You need to know your biases. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your limitations. You need to know what you like and what you don't like. For me, some of my biases are ignorance, willful ignorance, not lack of knowledge. Those people who are ignorant about something and choose to remain ignorant about it, I have a really difficult time with. So when I encounter them, I already know myself. And I know that I have a tendency to not want to be around those people. That means I have to work extra hard to be sure that I am fair and open and attentive to them. I also don't like jerks. People who are just mean and nasty and rude and hateful toward others for no reason other than they can, either because they're in positions of power or because they think that they're more important than other people. You know what I'm talking about. Those people who are just jerks. The other thing that I don't like is repetitive tasks. Things that you have to do over and over and over again, like washing dishes, or washing clothes, or cleaning up the kitchen, or fixing food. Those are the kinds of tasks that I really don't like to do. And so I find a way to give myself a reward for after I've finished that task. Either I will have a piece of chocolate, or I'll watch something that I want to watch on television, or stream one of my favorite shows. The most important thing is don't take jobs that have any of those things that you really dislike. I try not to do that. I don't take jobs that are full of repetitive tasks. I've only worked on jobs where I get to do exciting things, new things, different things. I don't work with jerks, and I don't take jobs working with or for people who like to be ignorant. Another thing I want to share with you is that life is an upward moving spiral. You're going to encounter your weaknesses and your strengths over and over and over again, yours and others, as you become who you're created to be. The thing is, as you're working your way around that spiral, you're always moving up. You're always moving toward the person that you're meant to be and the goals that you're meant to achieve. Yes, you may encounter similar incidents that show you what you need to do about a weakness or show you how you need to use your strength. The difference is that as you move up the spiral, they get progressively more difficult and more complex, requiring more of you and therefore causing your growth. It's not personal. In the workplace and in school, don't waste your time being overly sensitive or being moody or pouting. It doesn't go over well at school, and it can get you fired in the workplace. Most decisions that are made by businesses are never personal. They're never directed toward the people who work with you or who work there or who work for you. They're usually about the bottom line. They are usually about money, either saving money or being able to generate enough more money to hire additional people. So when a change is made, when your position is changed, when you're moved from one department to another, don't take it personal. And don't be moody, and certainly don't pout. And that leads me to the only thing you can control is how you respond to what happens around you and what happens to you. If you don't believe me, try to control your eyes blinking. Try to control your breathing. Try to control your heart rate. Try to control whether or not you sneeze or have an itch or scratch. You really can't. The only thing that you have control of is how you respond. So don't give that control away. Rather than getting upset when things happen that you don't particularly like, either fix them, replace them, do them over, or do without them and move on. That's what you can control. All of us have choices about what we do and how we do it. Having those choices and exercising that choice means that you can decide how you respond to whatever happens around you. Put your socks on before you put your shoes on, right? Everyone does. I've never yet met a person who can put their shoes on first and then put their socks on inside their shoes. I learned this very valuable lesson when I was a child. I had a classmate come over and I said some very ugly things about our housekeeper while she was there, and my mother heard me. And my mother taught me that lesson, that I was no better and no worse than anyone else, regardless of who they were, what they had, how much or how little they owned or possessed. I have never forgotten that lesson, and so I want to pass it on to you. Until you meet the person who can put their socks on after they've put their shoes on, you are no better and no worse than they are. And so that means everyone deserves to be treated with the same measure of respect. Speaking of treating people, you teach people how to treat you by the way you respond to their treatment. Think about that. If you don't like the way someone is treating you, ask yourself, how do I respond when they treat me that way? Do I remain silent? Do I laugh even though I don't think it's funny? I think it's hurtful? Do I say something? Do I let them know? If you don't, you can't get upset with them for the way they treat you because they have no idea that the way they're treating you is not the way you want to be treated. You have to ask for what you need in a way that the listener will get, not necessarily in the way that you would get it. So first you have to figure out how that other person listens and how they communicate, and then ask for what you need from them in a way that they will understand. And that way you'll know if they change their behavior, then it matters to them how you feel, what you need, and what you think. If they choose not to change their behavior, then you have to ask yourself if that is a relationship that you want to have remain in your life. Everyone is a leader to someone. It doesn't matter if it's your pet, your younger sibling, your spouse, your child, your coworker, the person who reports to you at work. Everyone is leading someone. And so ask yourself the question, who's following you? And whom do you follow? That tells you what kind of leader you are. If the people who are following you are the kind of people that you want in your inner circle, that's a good thing. That means that they see something in you that's worthy of following. If the people you are following are trustworthy, loyal, dependable, fair, unbiased, honest, dependable. I said dependable twice for a reason. People who say they're going to do something and then don't do it, they're not dependable and they're not worth following. Figure out what kind of leader you are, in large part by determining who follows you and whom do you follow. Look, sound, and act like where you're going in terms of the work environment. Your dress, your attitude, not having and using and being on your cell phone or other devices, how you manage your time. If you're supposed to be someplace at a certain time, do you show up at that time or do you show up 5 or 10 minutes early? That's time management, and it says a lot about you. Your emotional maturity. How well do you handle criticism? How well do you handle feedback when it's constructive, especially when it's pointing out something that might not be an area of strength for you? And your cleanliness. Pay attention to your personal hygiene. Make sure that under your nails is always clean, whether you have on nail polish or not. Make sure that your grooming is impeccable. Regardless of the position level you're currently in, you want to look, sound, and act like where you're going, not necessarily where you are. And finally, it's about the journey, not the destination. Take the road less traveled. Experience what everyone else misses by running with the crowd. Try new ways. Look for new experiences. Do things that you've never done before. It's about the journey. It's about the experience that you have on your way to where you're going, not just about getting there and being there. I hope these life lessons have been helpful for you. I hope they've given you something to think about. If you have more questions, please reach out to Mrs. Sanson. Thank you so much.